the people, and the high priest and the scribes came together and led him into their council, saying, "Art thou that Christ? Tell us." And he said unto them, "If I tell you, you will not believe it. And if also I ask you, you will not answer me, nor let me go. Hereafter shall the Son of Man sit at the right hand of the power of God." Then said they all, "Art thou then the Son of God?" And he said to them, "Ye say that I am." Then said they, "What need we have any further witness? For we ourselves have heard it of his own mouth." At this point, it seems like the devil is winning. And a lot of times as we go through life, it feels that way too. It certainly looks that way if we watch the news. The show trial has begun, and so has the mockery of the Christ. Just like the rich man who spoke to Abraham in Jesus' parable, Jesus knows there's no convincing the Pharisees this side of hell to come to his side. That their destiny is to destroy him. Then the whole multitude of them arose and led him unto Pilate. And they began to accuse him, saying, "We have found this man perverting the nation and forbidding to pay tribute to Caesar, saying that he is Christ, a king." And Pilate answered him, saying, "Art thou the king of the Jews?" And he answered him and said, "You say it." Then said Pilate to the high priest and to the people, "I find no fault in this man." But they were more fierce, saying, "He moves the people, teaching throughout all Judea, beginning at Galilee, even to this place." The Gentiles aren't stupid. They're not just random people out there. They had developed a nation that had conquered the earth. They know about this personal vendetta. They know what's going on here. If they prosecute an obviously innocent man, there could be an uprising. God's plan for his son to be murdered couldn't happen as a result of the Gentiles alone. They weren't willing to do it. It required the betrayal of his own brethren, his own people, to turn him over. Now when Pilate heard of Galilee, he asked whether the man were a Galilean. And when he knew that he was of Herod's jurisdiction, he sent him to Herod, which was also at Jerusalem in those days. And when Herod saw Jesus, he was exceedingly glad, for he was desirous to see him of a long season, because he had heard many things of him and trusted to see some sign done by him. Then questioned he with him of many things, but he answered him nothing. The high priest also and scribes stood forth and accused him vehemently. And Herod with his men of war despised him and mocked him and arrayed him in white and sent him again to Pilate. And the same day Pilate and Herod were made friends together, for before they were enemies one to another. Pilate doesn't want this problem, so he sends it to Herod, the fake king of the Jews. Herod sees Jesus as this wizard or this magician who's just going to play tricks for him and show him this divinity. But Jesus doesn't do miracles to impress people. He did it to prove who he was and to glorify God the Father at the same time. The masses believe him guilty of a crime he never committed, and there is simply no changing their mind, as we're about to read. Then Pilate called together the high priests and the rulers and the people, and said unto them, "Ye have brought this man unto me as one that perverted the people. And behold, I have examined him before you, and have found no fault in this man, of those things whereof ye accuse him. No, nor yet Herod, for I sent you to him, and lo, nothing worthy of death is done of him. I will therefore chastise him, and let him loose. For of necessity he must have let one loose unto them at the feast." Then all the multitude cried at once, saying, "Away with him, and deliver unto us Barabbas," which for a certain insurrection made in the city and murder was cast into prison. Then Pilate spake again to them, willing to let Jesus loose. But they cried, saying, "Crucify, crucify him." And he said unto them the third time, "But what evil has he done? I find no cause of death in him. I will therefore chastise him and let him loose." But they were instant with loud voices and required that he might be crucified. And the voices of them and of the high priest prevailed. So Pilate gave sentence that it should be as they required. What happens next, we all know it. We're all familiar with it. But very few of us actually understand it. Crucifixion makes burning alive look like dying peacefully in your sleep. It was the perfected method of torture with extra measures of pain taken for Christ. They didn't even crucify their own Roman citizens, no matter what they did. It was that bad. The lashings that Christ endured, 39 because 40 would kill a man. The lashings would tear the flesh until bone was exposed to the open air in the same locations that he would bear that rugged wooden cross on his back. The crown of thorns pressed into the extremely sensitive nerves around the cranium. It's a high blood flow region. It would cause very intense blood loss into the eyes. He would have practically been blinded the whole time. The nails didn't just pierce muscle tissue. It's not like being shot. They ran through tendons, causing pain that is unimaginable. Only then to have them bear all that weight as their entire body hang from those nails. Once lifted up, Jesus could do one of two things, but not both at the same time. He could relieve the pain by hanging, but he would be unable to breathe. Or he could pull himself up into the breathing position at the price of excruciating pain as the nails rub against bone and tendon. The dying process could last for days. Often scavenging birds would come along and start picking at the victims before they had even succumbed to death. When the Romans had finally had enough, they would break the legs of the victim, forcing them to hang there and suffocate. On this night, we see all the prophecies fulfilled, even the ones that his bones would not be broken. For some reason, they came along with the pillium and decided to stab him instead. Jesus never broke a bone as prophesied. Often, though, we lose sight that this sacrifice was made for us. He did this for us. He did it for each and every one of you. Jesus was the first that did not deserve to die. The first that did not incur death of his own accord. He bore the shame of our sin as he was stripped and as he was spit on. He bore the pain of our sin as he was lashed and nailed to the cross like a piece of paper to a bulletin board. He bore the death that we incur because death cannot hold the Holy One. And because of him, death won't hold us either. As we prepare to dismiss tonight, I hope that we don't go to bed thinking that Jesus was waiting for 3 days, sleeping for 3 days, just gone. As we read in 1 Peter 3, Jesus was busier than ever as his body was laid to rest. For Christ also hath once suffered for sins, the just for the unjust, that he might bring us to God, and was put to death concerning the flesh, but was quickened by the Spirit. By that which he went and preached unto the spirits that are in prison, which were in time past disobedient, when once the long-suffering of God abode in the days of Noah, while the ark was preparing, wherein few, that is 8 souls, were saved in the water. This is why we call it Good Friday. Even though what happened was terrible. We call it Good Friday because Resurrection Day, the King returns home. He comes through the gates from battle in glory. But today is the day that the battle was won. We're going to conclude the sermon with a reading from the Gospel of Nicodemus, and it's a section known as the Harrowing of Hell. Now, I know it's called a Gospel of Nicodemus. It's not Scripture. It's not an inspired writing. It's not canonical. The way that I look at it is like a fan fiction of the time, where they're going on about what must have happened as Jesus was descending into Sheol. We were going to watch a movie clip from a movie called Risen, which I think is very powerful. It's a Roman perspective on the crucifixion. But I haven't quite gotten down the whole video editing thing yet, so we're going to save that for another time. So at the conclusion of what I'm about to read, I'm going to invite you all forward to the cross. And as you come forward and spend time with Jesus, Izzy will lead us in worship with a piano solo. After that, we will all dismiss in silence. And when all were in such joy, came Satan, the heir of darkness, and said to Hades, O all-devouring and insatiable, hear my words. There is of the race of the Jews one named Jesus, calling himself the Son of God. And being a man, by our working with them, the Jews have crucified him. And now, when he is dead, be ready that we may secure him here. For I know that he is a man, and I heard him also saying, my soul is exceedingly sorrowful, even unto death. He has also done me many evils when living with mortals in the upper world. For wherever he found my servants, he persecuted them. And whatever men I made crooked, blind, lame, lepers, or any such thing, by a single word he healed them. And many whom I had gotten ready to be buried, even those through a single word he brought to life again. Hades says, and is this man so powerful as to do such things by a single word? Or if he be so, can thou withstand him? It seems to me that if he be so, no one will be able to withstand him. And if you say that you did hear him dreading death, he said this mocking you and laughing, wishing to seize thee with the strong hand, and woe to thee to all eternity. Satan says, O all-devouring and insatiable Hades, art thou so afraid at hearing of our common enemy? I was not afraid of him, but worked in the Jews, and they crucified him, and gave him also to drink gall with vinegar. Make ready then, in order that you may lay fast hold of him when he comes. Hades answered, Heir of darkness, son of destruction, devil, you have just now told me that many whom thou hast made ready to be buried be brought to life again by a single word. And if he has delivered others from the tomb, how and with what power shall he be laid hold by us? For I not long ago swallowed down one dead, Lazarus by name, and not long after one of the living by a single word dragged him up by force out of my bowels. And I think that it was he of whom you speak. If therefore we receive him here, I am afraid, lest perchance we be in danger even about the rest. For lo, all those that I have swallowed from eternity, I perceive to be in commotion, and I am pained in my belly. And the snatching away of Lazarus beforehand seemed to me to be no good sign. For not like a dead body, but like an eagle he flew out of me. For so suddenly did the earth throw him out. Wherefore also I adjure even thee, for thy benefit and for mine, not to bring him here. For I think that he is coming here to raise all the dead. And this I tell thee, by the darkness in which we live, if you bring him here, not one of the dead will be left behind in it to me. While Satan and Hades were thus speaking to each other, there was a great voice like thunder saying, Lift up your gates, O ye rulers, and be lifted up, ye everlasting gates, and the King of glory shall come in. When Hades heard, he said to Satan, Go forth if you are able, and withstand him. Satan therefore went forth to the outside. Then Hades says to his demons, Secure well and strongly the gates of brass, the bars of iron, and attend to my bolts, and stand in order, and see to everything. For if he come in here, woe will seize us. The forefathers, having heard this, began all to revile him, saying, O all devouring and insatiable, open that the King of glory may come in. David the prophet says, Dost thou not know, O blind, that when I, living in the world, prophesied this, saying, Lift up your gates, O ye rulers, said I, foreseeing this by the Holy Spirit, and wrote, The dead shall rise up, and those in their tombs shall be raised, and those in the earth shall rejoice. And where, O death, is thy sting? Where, O Hades, is thy victory? There came then again a voice saying, Lift up the gates, Hades. Hearing the voice the second time, answered as if so he did not know, and says, Who is this King of glory? The angel of the Lord say, The Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. And immediately with these words, the brazen gates were shattered, and the iron bars broken, and all the dead who had been bound came out of the prisons. And we, with the sound of glory and the King of glory, came in the form of man, and all the dark places of Hades were lighted up. Immediately Hades cried out, We have been conquered, woe to us! But who art thou that hast such power and might? And what art thou, who come here without sin, who art seen to be small and yet of great power, lowly and exalted, the slave and the master, the soldier and the king, who has power over the dead and the living? Thou wast nailed on the cross and placed in the tomb, and now thou art free and hast destroyed all our power. Art thou then the Jesus about whom the chief satrap Satan told us? And through cross and death thou art to inherit the whole world. Then the King of glory seized the chief Satan by the head and delivered him to his angels and said, with iron chains, bind his hands and feet and his neck and his mouth. Then he delivered him to Hades and said, take him and keep him secure till my second appearing. We conclude with this. While Hades was thus discoursing to Satan, the King of glory stretched out his right hand and took hold of our forefather Adam and raised him. Then turning also to the rest, he said, come all with me, as many as have died through the tree which he touched, for behold, I again raise you all up through the tree of the cross. At this time, I would like to invite you forward for a time of silence, a time of meditation and prayer, just to spend as much time as you need with Jesus. You may spend it up here kneeling, sit in your seats, or you may remain where you're at. But in this time, I just ask that you go into prayer, that you recall what Jesus has truly done for us. He's more than a suffering servant. He's also a conquering king.